If I took a 16-ounce glass of water and poured 8 ounces into it and showed it to you, would you see it as half empty or half full? This is a well-known test to determine whether a person has an optimistic or a pessimistic view on life. Now, I'm not going to ask you what you saw when you looked at my glass, but I am going to tell you that as a follower of Christ, we have an even better outlook on things because we can see God working for us in all of our circumstances. Let me give you a personal example. A few weeks ago, I had decided to fly out to Arizona to help my daughter pack for her family's move back to Florida. The drive alone with their moving truck and cars would be 30 hours, not including any stops for gas, rest, food, sleep, none of that. So at the very least, 3 very long days. Add to that a puppy, 2 cats, and a 4-year-old and 2-year-old child. Are you feeling a little bit anxious yet about the idea of that? Well, I decided to offer on my way back to fly the children back with me and keep them with us until my daughter and her husband got back to the new house and kind of settled in. Now, truth be told, I was feeling a little bit anxious about this. So I prayed over my decision and went to work booking on our flights. Now, to add to the challenge, my husband, Richard, was flying to New Jersey for his high school reunion the same week that I was heading out to Arizona. So he could not accompany me and help me with the children. It was Grammy and the grandkids. Well, when I checked for available flights for times and prices and such, I chose one from Phoenix to Milwaukee with a connecting flight then on to Fort Myers. Now, something about this flight was bothering me, and I just didn't push that buy button quite yet. Now, part of it was I just didn't understand the flight pattern, why we needed to fly all the way to Milwaukee to then head back down to Florida. And of course, this added time to our flight. But in addition to that, there was a 4-hour layover in Milwaukee, and that just did not sound attractive to me. So I thought, maybe I missed something. Let me go back and scan these flights again. And sure enough, I found one that flew from Phoenix to Orlando and then Orlando to Fort Myers with a 2-hour layover. So we had a shorter flight from my second leg and a shorter layover. However, something clicked in Grammy's mind. Richard was flying home that same day from Philadelphia, and he had a connecting flight out of Orlando. Could it possibly be the same flight? Of course it was. So now, when I deboarded my first flight with 2 little passengers, I would connect with Poppy, have him with us during our layover, and then fly home with us on our second leg. I have a helper. Now, my greatest concern when I fly with the children is the layover time. Just managing the 2 of them with this double stroller that I tell you is as wide as an automobile, getting food, changing the one's diaper, taking us all to the bathroom, getting the stroller through the bathroom door because you can't leave a child. This all kind of had me. This was amazing that I would have Richard with me for all of this part. The only part of the flight that really caused me concern, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that this was arranged by God. Did I also mention that my 2-year-old grandson fell asleep in his little seat next to me before our plane even took off from Phoenix and slept for an hour and a half? Now, to some people, these would all be wonderful coincidences. But as a woman who knows God well and has experienced how completely He takes care of me, I do know better. It reminds me of the biblical account in 1 Kings 18, where the prophet Elijah challenged 450 prophets of Baal to a contest to determine the one true God. Each side built an altar and prepared a bull for a sacrifice with the challenge that the God who answered by consuming the offering with fire would be recognized as the one true God. Well, the prophets of Baal went first, and they prepared their sacrifice and put that bull on the altar, and they called out to Baal, and they sang, and they danced, and they even cut themselves. Then they screamed, and they begged, and they sang and danced some more, to no avail. Now it's Elijah's turn. So he prepared his bull and laid it on the altar, and he drenched it with water. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. There was a moat around this altar filled with water. And he simply prayed to God. And sure enough, fire from heaven consumed his sacrifice. Challenge decided. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, we're told to cast all of our anxiety on God because He cares for us. In Jeremiah 29:11, everyone knows this verse, God tells us He has a plan for each of us to prosper us and give us hope and a future. Psalm 23 tells us that the Lord is our shepherd and describes how He feeds us and protects us and gives us the rest that we need. Oh, there are way more than that. The Bible is loaded with them. Challenge yourself to Google verses about God's care for us and see what you find and read them. Even when this glass seems half empty, and some days it will, you will know how incredibly blessed and cared for you are by the God who loves you like no other. And that, my friends, is this week's Time Out Tuesday. And I do hope to see you all next week. God bless you all.